Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here on Deborah Kobylt Live. I've got a great guest in studio. Thank you so much for being here, Jorjeana Marie. Wait, you're the voice of...
Nancy Drew Diaries
and so
some
many
new
others.
shows on Disney
I was
and
hoping you'd go,
Nickelodeon.
I was hoping you'd go right into character for me. Can you do it?
Well, yes, of course. I'm still not doing it, though. When will I do it? I don't know. It could happen at any moment. We don't know.
Okay.
Let us out.
When people do that, it kind of throws me off. And we
It
were on the
also
phone
freaks
and you did
people
it.
out and annoys them, so I just don't do it, and then people don't know that I can do.
I get excited. Oh, do it again?
Oh.
Yeah, and you sort of go back and forth from her to you. And it's like, do you ever get confused?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people inside here that are just waiting to come out and say hello. Take a peekaboo.
That's
I don't know.
Such a big mind to be able to do that, to go back and forth. I'm so impressed with this. You're also here. We're not just going to talk in tongues here. We're also here to talk about an incredible book that you just wrote, Improv for Writers.
Improv for writers.
Okay, who's she?
This is a friend.
This is a friend of yours.
I do
Alright.
not give too much information.
Alright,
Not right away. Okay?
Hang on. I'm not great with that. I'm going between Italian, English, and Russian, so bear with me.
Perfecto.
Hey, what are you going to do?
Te gris.
Oh, you're really good.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. I know that you give improv classes, but you ought to give accent classes too. Do you want to do the whole show like that? We'll just go back and forth.
I think we would annoy everyone out
I think it would be one of the funniest things. But let me tell everybody what the book is about. Improv for Writers. 10 secrets to help novelists and screenwriters bypass writer's block and generate infinite ideas. However, it's not just for writers. This is a great business tool. I love it. I just had on somebody who wrote, Michael, who wrote a book about working for Apple. It's called Live from Cupertino. And he said one of the greatest gifts he ever had was when he took an improv course. So this book is for everybody.
I'm not surprised. Improv is just so special. It's very powerful, especially in a supportive environment. And when somebody starts to feel loosened up and feels free to be themselves, to try something they've never done before, because it can be really scary, and it was for me the first time I did it. But when you sort of embrace it and you're like, okay, I'm going to try, and you feel like you're in that space, anything can happen.
While you're at the office, like taking an improv class because they want to loosen everybody up, and the boss is like, I had no idea. It's like, wow. But it's true. I mean, let your guard down.
Yeah.
And I think
Trust.
It's become, for trust. Wonderful. So you wrote this primarily, though.
In a fever dream, yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Well, my first thoughts about improv being something other than what we know it as, to come up with characters and perform and maybe make people laugh. My first introduction to improv, aside from being terrified of doing it, when I studied it was with a teacher, Gary Austin, who founded the Groundlings, and my introduction was using improv as a tool for drama. We were doing very dramatic scenes as actors. So the first thing I knew about improv was, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then after teaching it for many years, I started to realize, improv has a power to it. Like, you can do other things with it. And the things that my students were struggling with were the things that they were also struggling with, in life on stage. And it was the same for myself. I had a struggle with certain things, listening. I'd sort of, in my mind, start planning the scene. I'd plan stuff, and I'm like that. I'd been like that, and I'm working on that. But in life as well, instead of being present and really hearing what you're saying, part of my brain will be like, there's like a little guy with a file cabinet and pulling out this file and checking things. Where are we going today? And what are we going to do when the dishes aren't done? And
wait a minute, but you've got all those people living in your head. It's no wonder why you have trouble staying focused on a conversation. You've got 10 people in there.
They're bossy too.
Yeah, I could see that. See, I can't do the accents. I'm just going to not do it.
No, I like it. We cannot stop playing. I insist.
I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
So for those who have writer's block, this is terrific. I read the book. I want to go through a couple of the games for writing, right? You talk about setting a timer and let the character come through. Now, this is for your
the
improv,
book,
right? Yeah.
For the book, the timer is important because it gives a little pressure. When you're doing improv in front of hundreds of people, thousands, 3, those people are watching you and there's a pressure, and that's why people don't back down from what they're doing. They'll just sort of move forward with a scene and create something because, like, you're putting on a show. People are watching. So
Can't go back now.
no, you can't.
Just can't. I've been there, and you
it's
just have to keep
easy
going,
when
yeah.
you're writing to not keep going. Just what you were saying. It's like it's easy to do the opposite. To just be like, you know what? I'm going to look at that sentence and reread that 5 times and rewrite it 5 times. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, editing is a huge part of writing. But this book isn't about, like, I'm not writing this, like, how to be a writer. This is, let's play and let's see what else is there. Let's explore and let's try something we've never done before. And if we're struggling with the character, there's a game in there to explore that character and find a breakthrough, which, you know, people have been telling me, which is really nice to hear.
Yeah, just get out of your own way. But there's something else too. If you're stuck,
Yeah.
you say, you know, just stop, and then, you know, practice improv in character, right? Do you do that? So then you suddenly learn more about who the character is and what they're doing through your own improv. Could you tell me about that?
Sure.
I found that very fascinating.
Me too. And some writers already do this. Some writers, when they're writing, they're hearing voices or they're becoming the character and writing as the character. So, and some people have never tried that and they've never done that before. So I'm taking a lot of experience with, like, being an actor, teaching acting, and just saying, this is really useful. Even if you don't want to be in front of people and do things and put yourself out there in that way, you can do it for your characters, to listen to the other character and always be surprised. When we're writing a character and we're really close to them and we tune into them and we actually become them. So I set the timer for a minute, write as your character. They're going to tell you something you did not know because you're being them and you're finding this new information where, you know, otherwise you're on the outside kind of looking and like, oh, maybe they would do this, maybe they would do that, or I think what would be cool if they would do was this. Well, let them just tell you, because I promise you they've got something they want to do.
Is it better to write alone, you know, and just do improv and talk to yourself, or to be in a room with somebody and bounce ideas? Let's say you've got a character in mind, right? What do you think is best, or isn't there's no answer?
That's a really great
That's a great question.
That's a great question, because in comedy, teams are important. Bouncing it off of somebody is really helpful.
In the writer's room, right? We've all been in
And
there.
a group of people, but especially like a partnership where, you know, you're you know, what do you think of this? And you know, especially a supportive partnership where, you know, just like it's outside of like the tone of what we're doing, and you can get that answer right away. But the writers groups are really important too. You know, a great writers group. And
very, very interesting.
Hearing your work out loud is a whole other level of understanding what you've created.
You always wanted to be a performer when you were a kid?
I always wanted to be a writer. Wanted
to be a writer. But it's one and the same in a way, because to be an actor is to be a writer, and to write good material, you have to know who you're writing for, don't you think?
Yes, but you're right, because I stumbled into acting. I really did stumble into acting. I was like, what's going on in this room? And opened it up. It's the auditorium. They're doing like auditions, and I was like, well, I guess I'll audition. That was,
what are they like? Hey, you next. Get in line.
I didn't know what I was doing. This
really?
random thing that I walked in.
Talk about being noticed.
I watched a friend of mine, and I was like, I guess I'll just try to do what she did. And we both ended up in the show, and it changed my life.
What
and I
show?
knew it was God's Favorite by Neil Simon.
Oh.
Yeah. That guy.
Oh,
that brilliant playwright.
Come on. And you literally opened a door and you're like, hello, I'm here, Mr. Simon.
If only the rest of like my career in Hollywood was like that.
I've never had that. I would open the door and they say, close it, please. I mean, well, good for you. You made it work.
Thanks. You know,
needless to say, it was theater.
It was, and theater is a very special place. It's just magical. And improv is often, you know, it's done there. Sometimes there have been TV shows, really funny ones, Whose Line Is It, and all that. But with that live energy exchange between a person on stage and the audience, and that laughter. See, that was what got me, because God's Favorite was a comedy, and I had these ridiculous lines, and I went so big. I was such a ham. I just didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, yeah, da 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 da. And I just, as soon as the first time I was standing on stage and I heard an auditorium full of people laugh, I was like, whoa, what is this? I had a physical reaction. I still remember it. And I was like, what is this? This is something.
It's really difficult. I was talking to someone last night about performers, and people say, "Oh, they're narcissistic. They need this," and I said, "No, not really. They
It
do
can happen.
but they do feed off of the reaction of the audience. You're up there performing, trying to entertain, and if it was a silent room, you'd probably be thinking, oh no, I mean, it's a
Yes.
give and take
Yeah.
when you're a performer.
People are always like, stand up. That seems so hard.
Stand up.
Yeah. And my response is it's only hard when people aren't laughing. When they're laughing, it's the ride of a life.
Or when they're not, you could sort of call them out a little bit, and maybe it's their problem. So, Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew, she says as she gets her glasses ready to get on the case.
Well, because everybody knows Nancy Drew, and she's
Yeah.
popular today the same way she was in the 70s, 80s. I mean, Nancy Drew is a badass, little detective lady.
Yes, she is. She's awesome and very independent, smart, and just what a great character. I'm so honored to get to be
I'll bet.
voicing the audiobook series, the Nancy Drew Diaries, and it's just been incredible. I thought, we started with I think 5. I was like, oh, this is great. I would love it if it would continue. And now we're on 19.
That's amazing.
And they're so good. They're so good.
And you also did an audiobook for Improv for Writers, didn't you?
did.
So
Yeah,
you
that
did the whole.
was-
How do you do an audiobook for this? So
That's what I thought too. I was actually very surprised that we did an audiobook.
the whole thing, every word.
Every single word, and I got some permission to add a little bit here and there, just if I wanted to clarify or be a little bit silly with it. This is a book of games and things to play, but it's also, there's rules and there's kind of a philosophy behind it.
There is, because you do need to do both. You can't just be fun all day. You've got to have a regimen.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
It's like your box is this big, and maybe you can go from side to side, but you got to stay here, right? In a
Yeah,
way?
that's the rules.
Because it's hard. I think
being
for
present, trusting, listening, committing. All these, I love the rule. It was hard to kind of pick 10, so I was like, bonus rule, number 11, which is conjure enthusiasm, which is, again, these are useful for life, not just for improv, but in parenting children and in teaching a classroom. It's like, if you aren't conjuring enthusiasm, I mean, what are we doing?
And also being able to read people, I think improv is very helpful for that, because I know you teach improv as well. Some of the points that I got out of this: let go of control. Oh, hello, ooh. That's a tough one for a lot of people, right? And I'm thinking, oh, how do I do that? But then how do you let go of control? People always say, stop, let go. How do you let go? You're trying to make something happen. How do you do it?
There's another rule in the book called set an intention. And
that's important.
That is actually an aspect of, I think if you can do that, it's easy to let go of control. So I get asked, how are those different? So setting an intention is just this general feeling, this desire that you want to accomplish for the day. Maybe it's like, my intention is I'm going to enjoy this great day. And then you can let go of everything else of I got to get there on time. I got to get this on time. They better like me. This, all these things that we think
and
then
you're carrying
around.
that on your shoulders.
And it's heavy, and your shoulders are scrunched up to your ears, which I do. And so it's oh, just let it go, because I've already set my intention. What else can if I got make it a great day, all those little things that I'm holding on to, hanging on to, trying to control, trying to plan, they just sort of, okay.
Wow. And do you do one every day, or is it like a monthly intention setting sort of thing?
Personally, yeah.
Really?
I would say I do both. I mean, I try to do one every day. That's from the kind of being present and sort of well, what do I want to get out of this day? The days that I really do that, because I'll be honest, it's sometimes you wake up and you're like, I'm late. And then you're feeling behind every day. But the days where I can just be present and
boy, that's a bad place to be.
And when I go on stage, we have a lot of our improv troops. We will say, hey, I got your back. I'm working on really supporting everybody around me today. Cool. And
wow. I would just look at them and go, wow, that's new. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's great. You want to do a little improv? You want to do a little something, and then go ahead and see how I do.
You're going to be fabulous.
We did a little bit on the phone, and I
did.
love it. And just because it gets your mind and it expands it a little bit. Could you imagine having worked with Robin Williams talk about the master?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I got to talk with him in between his shows. We were both doing shows at the Comedy Store, and I got to talk to him in between two of his shows, and it was one of the biggest lessons of my life was how he was on that first show and how he was talking to me in person and how he was on that second show.
Tell me.
Well, the first show was electric. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. It was lightning in a bottle. It was Robin Williams.
Right.
He was in the main room, and I was just like, at first, I'm just really big fan and still just adore him. And so I was blown away. And then I just sort of randomly was in the hallway waiting to go on to my show up in the belly room, like my tiny little, go and do my thing. But I was just standing there, and then we started talking about Hamlet. I was in a production of Hamlet, and we just started talking about Shakespeare. And he was so serious. There was none of that.
He is serious.
There was none
off
of that.
camera. I've interviewed him
So
twice. And he, then he'll just, go into voices and whatnot
Mm-hmm.
because he realizes he's on camera. But then camera goes off, and he's a pretty serious guy, but because there's a lot going on in there, and
Yeah.
people don't realize
Yeah.
how you get there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and that's how it was in between, and I was standing there just like, I'm talking to her. We'd had a real exchange, and then he went to do the second show, which was in the front room, which is haunted. And in my,
it is.
I shouldn't say things like that. It's sort of known to be like, yes, this is a difficult room.
Ooh, I'd love to play that room.
Yeah. It's an unusual. Anyway, I don't. So he went up and he was doing newer material. He wasn't doing the same material because it was a totally different crowd. So I saw him try material. Now this is minutes. All he had in between, we had an exchange. Maybe he got a drink of water or whatever. But I saw him walk off stage like sweating, energetic. That everything that we know.
He's very
go
physical.
into another and then go into another room and. I saw. Somebody was sleeping, who I wanted to kick and be like, "Are you kidding? Robin Williams is in here." Maybe
What
they
kind
were
of a fool?
Maybe
They
they
should
were
have
drunk.
thrown him
maybe
out, or
maybe
her.
they were sobering
Who
up.
falls asleep with?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I hesitate to even say, but it was.
Yeah,
it was
they
like
drank
that.
too much.
And he was working on material, and I got to see him talking all of that out. And it was just a master lesson in I don't know what life and comedy and.
You've worked
being
with
a
some of the greats,
person.
though. You've done stand-up with Richard Lewis.
Oh, that was so
Right?
cool. That was
Kathleen
so cool.
Madigan.
Yes.
You've done incredible. You have an incredible body of work and worked with some of the greatest people. So, okay, now you're working with me. So
Let's do it.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Don't laugh, Kurt.
Isn't the whole point to laugh?
Oh, yeah, the point is to laugh. He's right. You can laugh if you'd like. So, okay, go. See, I'm nervous. I'm like, go.
Well, we can do the alphabet game, which we did
No,
do.
do
but
whatever
this
you want. No, give me a new one.
Okay. All right. So I want to do this thing with you. Okay. So just sort of improvising even what we're going to do. I want you to become another character. I want you to become a mysterious mystic. Somebody who thinks she really believes she knows people's future.
Oh, I do.
Yes. And I want you to just tell me a little bit about what is coming. What is coming?
I'm reading you.
Oh, I'm a little nervous.
Incredible things are coming for you.
Ooh, exciting.
I see triplets.
Oh, Look, writing or children?
Children.
What? That's a lot of diapers.
I didn't say they're yours. They could be your friends or someone in the family. I see triplets.
You're good, vague but insistent. I like
Yes.
that. You're definitely a pro.
I don't want to be pinned down.
Right in there in front of you is a box. If you
Yes.
could just tell me what tools you like to bring with you when you go to do these readings. Is there anything in there you want to?
Absolutely not. It's all here.
Oh, you don't.
I
you
don't
just-
use cards. I don't need them. I feel.
So that's it. Pure intimidation.
I feel. I feel your ancestors too.
Oh, you want to tell
They're
me?
here.
Oh,
I see them.
oh,
They're here.
kind of excited.
Be careful driving home.
Okay.
One of them is concerned.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that a message from you or from the beyond?
I can't say, but
Okay.
someone from your past
Okay.
who's no longer with us.
Oh.
Could be a grandparent. I feel these things, but I think they'll be like a shield covering you, so you'll be okay.
I appreciate that. Again,
Yes.
vague, but also a lot of information.
Aren't they all? These psychics. But can we break character?
Yes. Well done.
Thank you
well
so
done.
much.
I
I'm
mean,
really meant for this improv thing.
You
I told you I
are.
took an improv class and like we didn't talk.
Yeah.
And like I had to play off somebody and this girl was like a tree. I didn't know what she was doing. And I'm like, what am I supposed to be? A leaf? Should I fall from the tree? Or am I a branch? It was very
These are
difficult.
all good ideas, actually. No, that was wonderful.
Yes, you want
And
to do another because I can't. I actually love it. I'm getting free lessons on how to do improv.
It's like being a kid. It's tapping into
There you
that.
go. I've never grown up. So
Yeah.
honestly, I could be in a room of people that are very serious and they're business people. And I'm right up with them. I know my math. But I very often will just break out into something funny. I don't know.
Yeah,
And somebody
yeah.
finally said to me, you're kind of a funny person. I thought, well, so I did a little stand-up comedy. I thought, maybe they're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just look at things as a kid.
Yeah, and also your willingness to play, like that's a big piece of it. It's just like, oh yeah, I want to try another. So let's do another. I want you
This
to
is so
I
fun.
want you to be a snotty 12-year-old boy.
12-year-old boy.
Yeah, be a snotty 12-year-old boy.
I have 3 boys. This should not be difficult. I don't want to go. Forget it. I mean, I hate this.
You are going. Disneyland is a fun place.
Please, if you're 3, Ma, I have like friends that I want to go with. No. I've been there. I don't like Disneyland. I mean, I don't want to go on that Dumbo thing, and you guys always go to the restaurants I don't like, and the lines are too long. No, I don't want to go. I have homework.
You want to do homework.
I have a lot of homework.
Good job. Yeah.
Oh, this is so much fun. I could do it all day.
yeah, this commitment
So
to
this is
it.
what you do to help executives, because you've also helped executives. I
Sure.
mean, some pretty big ones.
Yeah.
To just release so that they can engage with their clients, right?
When they are interested and they have that motivation of really wanting to be better in a room or just relax a little bit, of course it's like these rules apply to anybody, but your commitment to doing this, and when people commit and they show up and they are ready to give themselves,
Right, me?
yeah, everybody. The people I've worked with, what you just did,
Of course.
we're all putting a shield around ourselves. Speaking of your friend, we're putting a shield.
You got home safely.
Yes, exactly. This is a protection from judgment.
Yeah.
So there are people who could judge. It doesn't matter because we had fun and we committed to what we did.
But what I like is how you can apply this. Again, for a writer, it's everything because you get blocked and you need tools on how to get there. And I love that we talked about intention.
Yeah.
That is important because without an intention, you can go off the rails.
Well, yeah, you
I'm
run
like
a
that.
company. You actually do need plans. You need all these things. You can't just let go of everything, but you can let go of the little stuff and keep that big vision there.
I like the no expectation, be in the moment. This is tough if you tend to have a performer's personality. You do have to retrain yourself. That's why these tools and these chapters, the 10 secrets, they work
Yeah.
for anybody.
I believe it. I do believe it.
I hope so. You wrote it. But I mean, seriously, what to you was the hardest when you wrote this book? Like, while you were coming up.
We talked about it. It was the letting go for me. I'm a planner. It's not even about like I say I'm a planner. I'm actually not a planner. I'm a person who has an idea of how I want
Well, you're
things to go.
prepared.
Yeah, I want things to go.
Reese
a certain way.
Witherspoon, they say, is like that. She shows up at the set. She's very prepared. And then sometimes she works with actors who may not work like her. And, it's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, well, having this idea of how you want things to go can be a really good thing, and then sometimes it can get in your way, and it was getting in my way.
I see.
So having my image of like, oh, life is supposed to be like this. Guess what?
Ain't gonna happen.
No, it's
So
not.
let it go.
It's not. Yeah.
It's such an important tool for so many of us. Give us, so you've worked, we talked about who you've worked with in stand-up. You've done theater in New York. And you do many, many voices, okay? You do audiobooks. What are some of the voices that you've done, as a voice actor?
I'm excited. I've done some stuff for Nickelodeon, but I'm excited. I have something coming out for Disney. Should be this year.
Is this Bubble
And-
Chicken?
No,
That's your book.
Bubble Chicken is my.
Bubble
Girls
chicken,
are-
hello. Oh, the bubble chicken loves you. Okay, so
This is what? Wait, what's Bubble Chicken? Bubble Chicken is your...
Bubble Chicken is a project that I've been working on. I'm working on the book. We've got a puppet, so and there's animated clips online.
And it's called Bubble Chicken.
Bubble Chicken. And Bubble Chicken is on a farm, and there's a little girl, Ellie, and kind of helps Ellie discover, how cool it is where she is when she was going to run away. And just this very, like, kind of Bubble Chicken is a very pretty cute. I mean, gotta admit.
I love your voice for Bubble Chicken. You can stay in character if you want. I can handle it. That's adorable. So that's
Oh,
something
thank you so
you're working on, Bubble Chicken.
Yeah. Bubble Chicken is demands some of my time right now, in a very loving way. Bubble Chicken is just full of love, so it's a really sweet project to be working on.
So do you do that? Do you step out of Bubble Chicken a little bit and use your own advice and say, what would Bubble Chicken say? You would have to, because you're not a chicken.
That's exactly what I'm doing. But then when I go to be Bubble Chicken, it's like sometimes I'm surprised by the things that are shared with me. And yeah, and that's what we're talking about here, is like letting ourselves be surprised.
Also, I think on the 18th, right, of this month, you're going to be speaking at Disney, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm going to be using the principles from this book. I've been doing a lot of workshops all over the country and
great.
going over the rules. And it'll actually be with a group of lovely ladies, producers, and people in animation. And I'm just excited to share the freedom of improv and also encourage people that it's not just there will be people who write and non-writers in the room, but it's for everybody. Improv is this thing that it's a tool, and it can help us express ourselves, get out of our heads. We're like thinking and distracted, and get us focused even for a short period of time.
I'm going to take, a big step here, a big leap. I often feel that if people would do something like this to help tame their mind, it certainly is better than taking a pill for it. A lot of people are going down that road where they're taking a pill so they can stay concentrated, and people have convinced them they've got all sorts of disorders. And if you just focus, and with these principles that you've written about in your book, I just, like you said, for anybody, writers, anyone, it's really terrific.
I mean, when I do that focus or I do a brief meditation, my work is different. The way I approach it is different. My whole demeanor changes because I'm centered. I'm not knocked off. A friend of mine used to say, like, hey, we're all just trying to get back on our center. And this is something that has helped me do that.
That's wonderful. Well, anything else you'd like to add? Because I've really, really enjoyed speaking with you. See, I don't do that.
Yes, I enjoyed speaking with you too. It's good.
It's really
Real
fun.
Is it fun? Is it fun?
You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very much. I enjoyed it a lot. Please pick this book up, Amazon, right?
Yes, and it's at Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
As well.
It's an easy read, which is what I like, because you can thumb through it. You can go to chapter 3 and then go back, go over to 6. I actually like this one.
I
The
want
Rule to
people to
Commit.
know I support them. Like, that's what the book is. It's like, not that it's like, who am I to support, but I really do. I really believe in
And the process.
Yeah, I really believe this is powerful stuff. And can lead to, like, just at the minimum fun, and at the max a breakthrough in what your antagonist is doing, a breakthrough in your ending, which I have had people come to me and say.
We're sort of out of time, but I will just say, sometimes I'll walk into a meeting, and it's not necessarily with creatives, it's with someone else, and I think, God, you need tools to just loosen up, because it'll make the meeting go better, which is what I like about this, because, I don't know, it's just smart, sensible, easy to read, dialogue, all of it. So thank you for this.
Thank you.
Amazon and anywhere else. And how can people get in touch with you?
Oh, I've got a website, jorjeanamarie.com. Please visit.
And you do one-on-one work with people.
I have. It's actually part of this growing out of that. I was like, if I can do one-on-one with somebody for a lot of hours and help them, in different ways, improv is very malleable.
Yeah, please try it out. So, Jorjeana Marie, thank you very much. Improv for Writers. Please look it up. Get the book. It's a great book. Great gift, being that it's the holiday. So thank you. And thank you, everybody, for being here for Deborah Kobylt Live. You could find us on YouTube and Facebook. We put all of our promos over on Instagram. And then, of course, Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, honestly, just about anywhere where you get your podcasts, we'll be there. Deborah Kobylt Live. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next week. Bye.